Hello, everyone. Today, I have a story that's as heart-wrenching as it is shocking. It's about the complicated dynamics of family relationships and the unexpected choices people make. This is, my parents chose their 27-year-old lover over attending my wedding. Get ready for a tale that will keep you on the edge of your seat, as we dive into the complexities of love, family, and personal boundaries. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into this captivating story. My 27 male parents are in a polycule relationship with a man. I've always been mildly uncomfortable with it, just due to various features about the whole thing. For starters, the man is as young as I am, and he basically now lives in my former room growing up. I don't say anything about it as it's their life, and they can live it as they like, but I'll be frank here, all of it discomforts me. Nevertheless, I have my own life, and I still love them, and I try not to think of that in any capacity. They're happy, and that's good for them. With that background out of the way, I'm getting married soon, and I wanted my parents to be there. They were happy for me, and it was great. Then 28, and I got to arranging everything for the wedding, and we eventually began arranging the seating. I wanted to run my seating plan by my parents, as they know some people better, so I emailed it to them and asked them to look it over. They looked it over, and then called me to say that I had missed a seat for Dave, 27, a fake name for their significant other. I told them I didn't think Dave would be coming. They said they'd all be coming, and I said I wasn't sure if that was a good idea. I tried to tiptoe to tell them not to bring Dave, but they were insistent, so I was frank with them. I told them I was uncomfortable with Dave coming, and wanted to share my special day with them, not Dave. I tried to explain why I didn't think it was appropriate. At this point, things took a turn for the worse. We had a back and forth, which devolved into a fight. Eventually, they said they'd much rather not come, if they couldn't come as a couple. I, in a moment of anger, then said, "Great, then don't come," in a passive-aggressive tone. I haven't talked to my parents since then. In a way, I feel like they've changed so much from when I was young. I still love them and wanted them to come, but this is just not how I imagined my wedding going. It's their life to live, but this is my wedding. It's supposed to be about me and my SO, surrounded by people we cherish. Dave and I have no relationship. He's a stranger to me, and respectfully, I genuinely am completely fine with that. I want them to come, but if they're gonna bring Dave, I'd much rather they don't. I love them, but I don't want Dave there. So, am I the idiot? Edit, we're not doing a +1 system. The wedding is only for the people we love and cherish, and their families that we love and cherish. It's a 53-person wedding, so, it isn't huge. Not the idiot. It's pretty despicable of your parents to behave this way, and honestly, I would be extremely uncomfortable if they were sleeping with someone my age, living in my childhood room. That's a level of creepy I'd never get over. Agreed. I can't believe how selfish his parents are. They understand that this makes OP uncomfortable, but they want to have Dave at the wedding anyway. Do what you want on your own time, but don't upset your child on his wedding day. They can suck it up for one day, but won't. His parents have effectively chosen this man over their own son. I'm so sad for him. I'd say the same thing if this was just mom's new boyfriend too, before anyone gets offended. If the son doesn't want the new guy at his wedding, don't bring the new guy to the wedding. How hard is that? They strike me as the type of parents who think they're amazingly hip, cool, and trendy, and think everyone wishes they could be like them. So, they flaunt their lifestyle choices and tell everyone in detail about what goes on. They're incredibly self-absorbed narcissists who fancy themselves as the head of their own imaginary fan club. They would totally spend as much of the wedding promoting their lifestyle to anyone and everyone who's too polite to tell them to screw off. I actually think this is far more complicated than people might first think. If we're really accepting of people for who they are, should that not extend to this, if they're in love and happy? You are the idiot, OP. I get that it's a weird scenario for you, but I'm not comfortable, is also what people say about the same gender partner, a different race, a different religion, etc., etc. This is someone who's viewed and treated as a partner in their life together. He's important to them, and if they're important to you, you're gonna have to learn to live with that. You can invite whoever you want to your wedding, but I also think you should grow up and accept that they're poly. Me and my ex divorced when our sons were preschooler and preteen. We had our moments but actually became terrific friends after we divorced. We'd even spend time together without our kids. We've both remarried and our spouses get along fine. In fact, my ex and her husband asked me to assist with their having a kid because he couldn't. They have a son who's a preschooler. He's biologically mine, but was happily raised by my ex and her husband. My wife is pregnant, and my ex will be in the delivery room with us when she gives birth next month. My tween is happy we all get along, but my older child is starting to have issues with it. He's always complaining about us hanging out and being over each other's homes. I asked him what was wrong with it, and he said it was just weird and to stop. I told him my relationship with his mom was none of his business. We'd be friends even if he didn't exist, so deal with it. My ex thinks I should apologize, but I'm not apologizing to a brat, dictating who I can or can't be friends with. Edit. I haven't been with my ex since we were married, and my donation was made in a clinic, and no one but me, my wife, my ex, and her husband know about it. I have zero attraction to my ex. We're all comfortable with each other because we've been friends since high school and have an unbreakable bond. You are the idiot. Your son is identifying that your situation is unconventional, and he's not adjusting well, but he's a young teen and doesn't know how to properly voice what he's feeling. There's a way to validate his feelings and still tell him it isn't his place to comment without being an idiot to your kid, but your ego won't see past supposedly being dictated to by a child who can't adequately express themselves. Don't be surprised when he doesn't respect you as an adult and may not even want to see you if you keep this "I'm not apologizing to a brat" mentality up. Oh, man, you're successfully navigating a healthy relationship between you and your ex, and it's so sad to see that you fail spectacularly with your own kid. The dude feels awkward about it, and instead of helping him work through those feelings, you got defensive and acted immaturely. You have so many kids, but don't act like a father figure. I wonder if Opie and his ex are swingers or having a polycule relationship, and the kid finally picked up on it, or if someone at school probably said something. Not gonna lie, being a sperm donor for your ex, who you co-parent with, is weird, in my opinion. Your kid's half-brother is actually their full brother, but with legally different parents. I'm an adult just hearing about this, and it's difficult for me to fathom. I can't imagine how a young teen and a tween would feel. Their whole relationship is strange. I wouldn't be bringing my friends around my parents, that's for sure. I can't fathom how step-parents are okay with all of this, especially the wife letting him father a child and handing it over. I'm betting that the kid's parents are questioning their relationships too. And if friends' parents are talking about it, the kid or his friends likely have heard the talk. I'm not surprised the kid asked them to stop the relationship. My wife is currently battling cancer, and one of the things she's told me she's struggling with the most was losing her hair. She's been given a near 100% chance of survival since we caught it early, but the chemotherapy has destroyed her hair anyway, and she's had to shave what was left off a few weeks ago. Not long after that, she suggested we attempt to get our nearly adult daughter, Anna, to do so as well. Anna has very long hair that she puts a lot of care into, so it was appropriate to ask her in private if she wanted to or would be willing to do such a thing. She told me she didn't want to cut her hair, and I figured that was the end of it. However, they came home from a girls' shopping trip, which they occasionally do, and Anna had a buzzed haircut. That struck me as odd after what she'd said. So, after dinner, I talked to her, and she told me that my wife had said she would never forgive Anna if she didn't show her support by buzzing her head. I asked her if she was happy about it, and she said she wasn't. When I went to bed, I brought it up with my wife, and she said it was Anna's choice to or not. I just told her how I'd see the situation. I told her off, saying she needed to respect Anna's personal choices, and that a nearly adult girl against shaving her head wasn't exactly out of the ordinary. However, my wife said it was to show support for her. I've been sleeping on the couch ever since. I love my wife, and I understand she's going through something traumatic. However, her attitude comes off as very manipulative to me, and that's not behavior I feel I can personally accept. I'm unsure if I can move past this to continue the relationship. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your wife is a flaming idiot. I'm sorry that she has cancer, but what she did to your daughter was very abusive. If she cannot deal mentally with her disease and treatment, then she needs professional help, not to manipulate and coerce your daughter into making a choice she didn't want to make. Make no mistake, she abused your daughter. Honestly, cancer or no cancer, if I were in your shoes, I would seriously be considering divorce, if only to get your daughter to safety. Your wife wanted to use your daughter as a prop for her cancer. She knows she will survive, but she wants the attention she'll get from it. Forcing your daughter to sacrifice something that's probably very memorable about her, so people can gush about it, is her way of getting more attention. It's unbelievably toxic what she's done. The manipulation is honestly shocking. The power behind showing support through shaving your head for a cancer patient is that it's unasked and voluntary. Just asking or demanding someone shave their head because you have cancer is wild. I think it's actually just pure jealousy. Mom lost her hair and hated that your daughter still had hers. So many mothers are their kids' first bullies. She was jealous of her younger, beautiful daughter with a head full of hair and wanted her to feel unattractive. I cannot imagine the daughter's shock and disappointment when mother-daughter's day out suddenly morphed into, dramatically alter your appearance or else you don't love me. 2 choices, pick now. Shaving your head does nothing for a person fighting cancer. It doesn't make chemo and its side effects any easier. It doesn't make radiation and its side effects any easier. It doesn't make surgery and its side effects any easier. It only appeals to the victim's vanity. If I have to be bald, no one around me should have hair. That's rude, cruel, self-centered and extremely entitled and very, very wrong. Tell your wife to grovel to your daughter for forgiveness and buy her as realistic of a wig as she can, ASAP. Otherwise, in one short year, she'll lose her daughter forever and lose you right now. I say this with much hesitation, but my sister-in-law, her husband and their child are all severely obese. Both sister-in-law and husband are over 300 pounds, and their daughter, tween, is easily pushing 200. The type of people to buy a smoker and giant chest freezer for $3,000, but fail to pay their mortgage or land tax and ask the family to help them out. And when they're called out on it, it's met with making sure my family is fed is my top priority. Not saying it shouldn't be a priority, but when you're feeding 3 people enough food for 10 people a day, it's absolutely an issue. Last year, we extended the invite to them twice, and both times, they ate food so quickly that many people didn't even know there was food available. I vividly remember them putting 3 hamburgers, 4 hot dogs and darn near a half a container of pasta salad on their plates and still going up for seconds and thirds. I wish I were kidding, but I'm not. The next time around, I bought more food. They ended up taking all the leftovers without even asking and without anyone's knowledge until after my kids wanted more food and everything was taken, dish and all, and they had been the only ones who left. So, this year, I didn't invite them. I can't afford to feed them, and quite frankly, I don't want to feed them. I don't want to have a beach day and have to run to the store midway through to get my kids something to eat when I know I packed and cooked plenty of food to last the day. So, I invited everyone but them. The day went great. We weren't hungry after for once. Sister-in-law caught wind, which I expected, and she immediately asked, we would have liked a family meal too. So, I simply said, I can't afford to feed you. She asked what I meant, and I explained as nicely as possible. Now, I'm being called every name in the book for fat shaming and embarrassing her. Not the idiot. Explain to them that there's a difference between fat shaming and greed shaming. They could eat a respectful amount with the family, then go home and eat 6 more dinners on their dime. No one would shame them. The fact that they choose to exploit the family and make others go hungry is what's unacceptable. Greed shaming is the perfect way to phrase this. If they weren't so greedy and weren't taking food out of people's mouths, that would be a different story. Who the heck takes food or leftovers when people are still at a party and still planning on eating? That is so weird. I'm gonna go to Thanksgiving and just walk out with the turkey. Why not? Land tax can wait. LMAO, gotta feed the fridge. And her first reaction was that she would have liked a family meal. Her response really says it all. They also wanted a free meal. They didn't go to see people, catch up and have fun. They came to eat, and you're the food ATM. Being together solely to eat is a type of party too, but then you pull your weight, no pun intended, by either paying your part or bringing it. Tell her they're welcome to bring their own food next time and that you want your plates back. My sister is 2 years younger than me. Growing up, she'd always come to me for help with things our parents wanted her to do alone or for money, because I had money, young, from helping out with my best friend's grandparents, who always threw us $5 or $10 for doing stuff for them. But, my sister was a very popular kid and had a bunch of friends who were popular, and I was not, so she never liked being seen with me. When we got older, it was worse, because she'd ask to borrow money, or she'd ask me to drive her home from school, but if I dared approach her around her friends, she'd get so mad and say it was embarrassing to be seen with me. She and her friends used to make fun of my best friend and me too, because he's a guy, and they'd say we were secretly dating, or he was secretly gay. She'd throw out some wild crap just to fit in. It annoyed me, because she'd want something when none of her friends were around. I'd say we weren't at all close at that time, despite me giving in normally, because I did love her, but she was crappy to me and to my friend. As adults now who are 26 and 28, our relationship got better eventually, and she improved a lot as a person. She apologized to me and my best friend for going along and spreading more rumors about us. She even asked me to be her maid of honor, which shocked me, because I didn't ask her to be mine. I thought we were finally starting to be close as sisters, but she started treating me like crap again. She wanted me to change my hair completely. My hair is pink and all textured. Then she wanted me to cover up my 2 tattoos, one of which represents my kids, and told me that I looked like a biker and not a bridesmaid. When we went dress shopping, she'd always have something negative to say about the dresses they had me try, while she was crazy about her friends' dresses. After a few months, she told me she felt like I'd be too distracting on her wedding day, and would I mind being a regular guest and not a bridesmaid? Something clicked for me then, and I told her not to worry about me being a distraction, because not only would I step down as her maid of honor, but I'll keep myself away from her wedding and do her the kindness of not being there, when she's clearly still embarrassed by me like she was as a kid. She freaked out and said she never said she didn't want me to be there. She told me I'm her sister, and I should be there. My parents and so were so disappointed when they learned what happened, but said that they understood my decision, and it was probably for the best overall. My sister's fiancé accused me of holding the past against her, and overreacting to what she wanted for her wedding day, and I should do better. My sister cried on the phone, asking me why I was being mean to her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your sister is the idiot. She never changed. At heart, she's still the popular girl who cares about what everyone thinks, and wants all the attention for herself. Apologies don't mean anything if the behavior continues, and here she is, shaming you for your appearance. Screw that. Of course she wants you there. She just wants all the attention on her, yours included. If you're not there, people will ask why you're not there. That's probably worse in her selfish mind than you having pink hair and tattoos. Honestly, because the truth reveals that she's an idiot. You don't owe her anything, just because you both came out of the same uterus. You are not the idiot for stepping down and not attending. I'd also block her and her fiancé's phone. They're mad that they can't use and abuse you over wedding duties, and her friends will note your absence, causing embarrassment. I'm actually proud of you for taking care of yourself. Good on the parents for not trying to force you. It's refreshing to hear that, OP. Often, parents are always siding with the perpetrators. And there you have it, a journey through the emotional turmoil of family expectations and personal boundaries. If this story resonated with you or left you wanting more, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell to stay updated with our latest stories. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever faced a difficult choice about family and personal values? Until next time, remember, standing up for yourself can sometimes be the hardest, yet most important. Welcome back to the channel, dear viewers. Tonight, we explore a tale of marital discord and familial expectations that has left one woman questioning everything. The story is titled, My Husband Demanded I Become a Stay-at-Home Mom, and Now We're on the Brink of Divorce. Join me as we uncover the events that turned a joyous expectation of a new family member into a battleground of values and identity. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into this heart-wrenching story. Okay, I already know it sounds bad, but I, 35 female, and my husband, Jeff, 37, are currently expecting a boy, his first child, my second. I got pregnant with my first when I was 18, and his dad was never in the picture. I work as a substance abuse counselor, and I love my job. However, this is where it gets tricky. My job offered me 8 weeks of PTO for when I have our son. I was so happy because I didn't want to return to work right away. Jeff and I got together when I turned 30, and he moved in with me because I own my house. We just got married this year and have talked about childcare multiple times, so he knows I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, I'm due in November, and he just brought this idea up. I was baffled because we've already talked about this, but I guess my mother-in-law and sister-in-law believe I should stay home with our son as a mother and a wife. I just don't understand where their opinions come in because I already know where they stand. Both stayed home with the kids. All 3 of them sat me down to have this talk, and they wanted me to focus on the kids, cleaning up the house, making dinner, and all of that. But I already work and do those things. Well, mother-in-law decided to throw it in my face that I never got to be a stay-at-home mom because I was a single mom going to school and working, which she's not wrong, but it made me angry that she brought it up. I told them that I work so hard to give my son a good life, and having another baby doesn't change my decision to keep doing something I love, and that if they all want someone to take care of the house and kids all day, Jeff should be a stay-at-home dad because I make more money than him, and it would make more sense for him to stay home instead of me. It turned horrible after that. I got yelled at by mother-in-law and sister-in-law that it's not his role as a father to do those things, and that he's the man of the house and should be the one making money. Jeff just stood there not saying anything, and I blew up and reminded all of them that it was my house, not his. I kicked mother-in-law and sister-in-law out, and Jeff was so mad at me that he went with them. He said he won't come back till I apologize to all 3 of them. So, am I the idiot for not wanting to be a stay-at-home mom? Nope, not the idiot. OP, you make more, it's your house, your in-laws are dinosaurs, and your husband just proved that he doesn't have your back. Bonus, here's your to-do list for tomorrow. 1. Change locks. Number 2, make an appointment to see a family lawyer about custody, parenting time, and child support in your jurisdiction. 3. Research them on the internet in the meantime. 4. Resolve that none of those 3 people gets back in the door unless they provide you with a fulsome, sincere apology. Sorry about the marriage, OP. I hope it was fun while it lasted. The thought of my husband bringing my sister-in-law and mother-in-law into my house to tell me what to do with my life, especially after discussing exactly what I want, makes my blood boil. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Please reevaluate your relationship with Jeff and whether or not his value systems are compatible with yours. Do you want your son to be taught this drivel about how he needs to grow up to be the man of the house? Do you want the rest of your life to be cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the children for Jeff? Because presumably, he won't lift a finger to help you, because that's not his job. Because that's what's going to happen if you stay with this man and let him and his family treat you like this. Please be compassionate to yourself and your children and realize that you deserve far better. My vote is for the husband set up mother-in-law and sister-in-law to deliver this message. And he didn't do it with the goodness in his heart of having the baby have a stay-at-home mom. He did it so OP would take care of him like his mom used to. Flags everywhere. Update. It's currently 1:15 a.m. and Jeff just called me. He informed me that he cleared out our joint bank account and deposited it into his account. Bill money, savings for future trips, and grocery money that he's been thinking. And the only way he'll come home is if he can be responsible for all the finances. And I put his name on the house too. I said absolutely not and hung up. I've already reached out to my boss and I'll be working from home via virtual meetings. I'll be calling and talking to attorneys tomorrow morning to see what my options are. I didn't let Jeff know I'd be home, so I'm sure he'll try to stop me. Where I live, real estate developers have started snatching up family homes, bulldozing them, and building enormous $2 million houses on plots of land. Unfortunately, the houses also stick out horribly in terms of aesthetics. Think single-level brick homes with three-level gigantic white and black boxes in the middle. My home's been in the family for several generations. We've always been known for having a large, beautiful garden. We invited over kids to help with gardening. We gave away so many veggies. We'd hold parties, etc. It's been a neighborhood treasure for years. Until developers snatched up the lot next door, bulldozed it, and erected an enormous house that blocked the light to most of the garden. Many of us tried to fight it with the city, but everything was denied. It was heartbreaking. Our neighborhood has been changed forever. This was a link to my family, and I almost have had to go through a grieving process for it. The new owners moved in and were not welcomed warmly by the people in the neighborhood. I avoided them for as long as possible. Other than politely waving or nodding, it was a young couple in their early 20s. We finally came face to face, and the woman asked if we could chat. She said she felt like maybe they'd done something wrong when they moved in, or if they weren't pulling in their trash bins or something, being too loud, etc., because people haven't been friendly. The guy says that he's surprised, considering it felt like a nice and somewhat affluent neighborhood. And given the price, he was expecting friendly neighbors. I asked if they had done any research about the area. They said that they moved from California, so no. I said that maybe that was their mistake. They said they didn't know what I meant, so I asked if they've ever looked in our backyard. They said yes, and they said they thought the garden was cute. I said yes. The garden that now has about half the sunlight than before your house was built was a neighborhood treasure. So the guy said, well, it's not our fault you built the garden there, is it? I said, well, you guys got what you paid for, $2 million for a house that everyone in the neighborhood hates. So I said I hoped it was worth it and wished them a nice day. When I told another neighbor about the exchange, she told me that she felt bad for them moving without knowing what they were getting into. Am I the idiot for telling them they got what they paid for? So you unloaded your pent-up anger at the developers, on the couple, who unwittingly bought the house. You are the idiot, OP. That couple did nothing wrong. They bought a house on the market. Now, if they had been the ones to buy the house or land from the previous owner, bulldoze it down, and then build their $1 million mansion, you might have a leg to stand on. But from what you say, the neighborhood is taking out their frustration and anger on an innocent couple. Yeah, but I do get why he'd be angry if instead of, oh, we're sorry, we didn't know about your garden, they decided to go with, it's not our fault you built your garden there. When it comes to this kind of mega home, I agree, but I also think places need to change. This is why most grad students live in someone's attic. Many old communities completely boycott any affordable housing, even as the population doubles or more. Mega homes for the rich don't help either, but I dislike the people who want their neighborhoods to stay the same forever, just as much. OP, they bought a house. Did you research the neighborhood? Is your garden a big thing so well known it's in the papers that those people could know about it without talking with the neighbors before moving in? And specific talks. And even then, they didn't design the house, just bought it. It's not their fault, and you are being angry at them as if it is. Also, if the size of your neighbor's house affects how you act, you might want to seek therapy. You take the cake today due to treating people like crap because they apparently stole your sunlight, and you're big mad about it. These people likely had no idea about your garden or what was there before the house they bought was there. It's not their fault that the house was built there. You want to be mad? Be mad at the real estate developers. That's the actual bad guy here, not the people who bought the house. I can't believe this became a conflict. With the weather being so nice, I decided it'd be nice to have a fun little dinner party. So, I invited everyone and their SOs if they had them. One of the SOs is Rick. I've always gotten along with him just fine, but he's one of those guys who tries to make the most bizarre things into his entire personality. The biggest one is that he's a huge garlic guy. He's one of those guys who makes a huge deal out of how he uses 400 cloves of garlic in a dish. I don't eat garlic. I have GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, from purging. And unfortunately, my biggest triggers are alcohol and garlic. I'm okay with cooked onions. For some reason, in the past 2 years, my sensitivity to garlic has actually gotten worse. So, I didn't use garlic in the dishes I made. Not a huge deal, right? I have a pantry full of other spices, and I'm not shy about using them. We were eating and I got some compliments on the food. It wasn't anything special, but Rick said he liked it, but felt the food was missing something, and asked how much garlic I used. I said I don't eat garlic, so I didn't include it. He scoffed and was like, how can you not use the most basic ingredients in most meals? That's why it tastes like this. He made a big exaggerated face and put the food down. He then asked why I'd have a dinner party if I had such a limited palate, and that he wouldn't have people over for Thanksgiving dinner if he was a vegetarian. I said, I have GERD, dude. Garlic triggers it. He pointed out that I was drinking alcohol. I said yes, I was in fact drinking one hard seltzer that I had flattened, and that these are the only alcoholic beverages I can drink, and that I also had one just in case my body changes its mind. He and I went back and forth until his girlfriend, the one who actually is my friend, told him to chill. Rick got louder and was laughing like, come on guys, am I really the idiot here? With his hands out. One of the other guys said it was a little weird, but not a big deal. Anyway, it's a month later, and Rick still won't drop it. Instead, he insists that it was an idiot and selfish hosting move to drink the alcohol, but not cook with the garlic, because garlic goes in everything. So, now I'm curious, and thought this would be a fun low-stakes question for you all. Am I the idiot? Why are you friends with this monumental idiot anyway? Someone whose entire personality seems to be about one tiny thing? Who thinks he's the food police? I'm a very keen cook, and garlic is inappropriate for many, many, many dishes. Not the idiot, of course. I'm also curious, doesn't he stink 24/7? OP should still invite him, but serve him garlic. Only garlic, several whole roasted garlic bulbs, and nothing else. Is that enough garlic for you now, Rick? And make sure you get a vampire costume for Halloween, for his benefit. Rick needs to get his garlic addiction under control. It's affecting his relationships at this point. If my ex so acted that way, not simply expressing a preference for garlic, but telling the host it was rude to omit it, I would be mortified. No joke. Possible grounds for breaking up, because who behaves that way? Not the idiot, open and shut case. My best friend and I have known each other since we were like 3, and we've always been super close. She's the first of us to get married, and I'm so happy for her, and was happy to be asked to be her maid of honor. However, she and I were not expecting her fiancé to consider my ex a close friend now that he's his groomsman. We knew that they kept in touch after I broke up with him, but we had no idea they were friends. What's even worse is that my ex is using this as a way to try and force his way back into my life. She warned me when she found out, and I agreed to one night out with all 6 of us, my best friend, her fiancé, and their bridesmaids and groomsmen. I was paired with her fiancé's brother, the best man, and my ex with her sister, a bridesmaid, but he would not stick around her sister at all. He kept coming over to me. He tried to get me to take him back, and he joked that we should just go and hook up. He touched me a few times, and I had to brush him off. He was just intense. Our breakup happened a little over 2 years ago. We worked together for 5 years, lived together, had talked about marriage and babies, and then I heard him mock me to his friends and say disgusting stuff like I was so boring as a person, but at least my body was good so he could drown out the rest of me and just focus on my looks. He mocked me for being sensitive. He also mocked that I had low self-esteem from my childhood relating to my family and told them details only he and my best friend knew. My best friend asked her fiancé if there wasn't anyone else. He told her that the 2 of them got so much closer in the last 2 years and that he truly considers him his closest friend now and so on. He said we should be able to deal with being around each other for a few hours. She asked if there was anything she could do to make it easier, but I can't be around him like that. I can't even have him following me around and trying to win me back. He humiliated me. He said things that I never would have expected out of him. He got 5 years of my life and he treated me like that. We agreed that I should just pull out of the wedding. My best friend is so upset and she's upset with her fiancé. He's now angry with me and he told me I should have sucked it up for my best friend and followed through on being her maid of honor because it meant so much to her. He told me I was being petty and I should be able to ignore my ex for the sake of my best friend. I do feel bad. I hate doing this, but I know I'd feel trapped in a nightmare if I had to deal with my ex throughout the wedding. There's no doubt in my mind that I would be miserable. She knows this too, which is why we agreed, but I hate doing this to her. I always dreamed of being her wedding. And now, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The groom prioritizes his friend over his bride's happiness and he's trying to get you to suck it up. He could have chatted with your ex and told him. His behavior was unacceptable and if he tried to get close to you, he'd be dropped. But he preferred pressuring you so he could have what he wanted. I'd tell your friend that her fiancé is trying to pressure you as that would be a red flag to me. Not wanting to be touched and harassed by a creepy ex-boyfriend isn't being petty. What the heck is wrong with this guy? Also, you did ignore your ex, but it didn't stop him from harassing and touching you against your will. And ignoring your no. What else was he expecting you to do? Also, does he want drama at his wedding? I hope your friend realizes who she's about to marry. Yeah, I think you need to step away entirely. And if the ex is continuing to harass you, look into a restraining order. Good luck to the bride. Her fiancé sounds like a real charmer too, being that he knows the history and still allows this. I, 20 female, am currently 30 weeks along. I live with my parents and pay rent, utilities, and other essentials. Ever since I found out I'm pregnant, there's been a lot of tension in the house. And it feels like my parents' marriage is getting worse because of me. When I first found out I was pregnant, my dad flipped his lid because I wasn't married and because I didn't know who the father was. My mom defended me for most of his crap throughout my pregnancy and was very supportive but very disappointed in my dad for his behavior and it's been ruining their marriage. Last week, my dad demanded I move out, and I refused since I paid rent and mom doesn't want me to move out. As usual, mom defended me, but they had a big fight. I'm feeling like an idiot since I'm ruining my parents' marriage over this when I could move out, but I don't know where to go and need my mom's support. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You're an adult. If you want to have a baby, that's fine, but there's no reason to expect anyone else to support your child. Babies are loud and disruptive. Your father's done raising his kids, so why do you expect him to start over to raise yours? Not the idiot. You are not ruining your parents' marriage. Your dad is. Your mom is finding out your dad's beliefs around unwed or single mothers. You getting pregnant and having a child has not ruined your parents' marriage. However, your dad's behavior is. I'm really glad your mom is being so supportive, and I hope this situation resolves in whatever way it needs to. You have to prioritize your well-being and the well-being of the baby. Your dad's behavior affects your emotional well-being and your unborn babies. However, he feels it's not important as you and this child, but I'm pretty sure you have some clue about the baby's dad. You might have to pay for some paternity tests, but you need to find out who it is and make them contribute. Don't let him off the hook. I don't know if you want to know who the father is, but your child has the right to know and to be financially supported. And that, dear viewers, is how a deeply rooted disagreement led to a rift in what seemed like a stable marriage. If you were captivated by this tale and want to hear more stories of family conflicts and unexpected revelations, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts and similar experiences in the comments below. Have you ever faced a situation where family expectations clashed with your personal values? Until next time, remember, staying true to yourself is crucial. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I have a truly heart-wrenching yet uplifting story to share with you. Imagine being abandoned with a baby and no money, only to have a chance encounter with a stranger turn your life around. This is the story of, my husband left me with a baby and no money, then I met a stranger who changed everything. Let's dive right in and see how one woman's life was transformed in the most unexpected way. Dorothy stood in the kitchen and thoughtfully washed the kettle for about 10 minutes, thinking about when all this would end and how she would get out of this situation. She felt that she no longer believed in her marriage, and it depressed her more and more, and how well it had all started. Nathan was courting her romantically and charmingly. He serenaded her under the windows, gave her flowers every day, and always different ones, until he had realized that she loved orchids most of all, and after that he gave them only. And Dorothy thought then that it would be like that forever, maybe without orchids, but certainly with Nathan next to her. Soon Nathan asked Dorothy to be his wife, and she immediately agreed. She seemed to glow with happiness at the wedding, and Nathan kept whispering his vows of eternal love to her. They lived in Nathan's apartment that his parents had presented to him a few years ago. The apartment was next to the office where Dorothy and her college friend Sharon had been working as designers for 3 years. True, Sharon soon got married too, and moved in with her husband to a neighboring city. Dorothy liked the apartment. The only thing that annoyed her was that one of the 2 rooms was filled with musical instruments. Nathan was a musician and a bandleader, but they had no success, and their performances brought no money. Everything Nathan could earn outside musical activities was usually spent on rehearsals and transportation of equipment. At first Dorothy's domestic problems did not bother her, as she was working and had enough money, but then, giving birth to a child, Dorothy immersed herself in home life and felt how much she missed Nathan's help. He was always away at rehearsals, dealing with some band issues and coming home late, almost always drunk. Dorothy longed to feed him dinner and just talk, but she did not want to be a capricious and grumpy wife, and she said nothing. One day, after her son was born, she asked Nathan to go for a walk with little Spencer, as she wanted to sleep for at least half an hour and get some rest. But her husband just looked at her in surprise and irritably said, "These are your responsibilities, Dorothy. I can't do all this nonsense. Do you want me to become a well-known musician or not?" And then Dorothy clearly understood that nothing was going to change, and it wasn't because he hadn't given her orchids for a long time. Nathan had changed a lot, and he didn't care about her and Spencer. Dorothy was ready for one last conversation with her husband. But disaster struck. Her mother died of an illness. After the funeral, Dorothy fell into a stupor and depression. Nathan started bringing orchids again, and Dorothy even thought that in this way he was trying to support her, but as it turned out, it was something else entirely. Soon, Nathan started talking about selling her mother's apartment. He offered to use the proceeds to buy a minibus, which he planned to use to go to rehearsals and tours. Dorothy almost laughed, because her husband had never been away for performances beyond the local clubs, but she didn't argue, and they bought the car and put the rest of the money in the bank. But of course, everything went on as before. Spencer started teething, and Dorothy could not sleep at night, listening to the moans of her baby, and Nathan was often absent at such nights. But his band performances did not add money to the house, and they lived, in fact, only on the children's allowance. One day the telephone rang, and Dorothy was overjoyed to hear the cheerful voice of her friend. Sharon reported that she and her husband would soon be going on vacation abroad, and she tearfully asked Dorothy to stay in their home and look after Rocky the spaniel. Dorothy was happy, because she had longed for a change of scenery, at least for a while. She shared her worries with Sharon, and her friend said firmly, "That's it, it's settled. Come to us with Spencer, I'll be back from vacation, we'll figure it out. Maybe you do not have to go back to your husband. Stay here, find a job and you can live with us while you need. The house is big." And Dorothy made up her mind. She hastily stuffed some of her things and Spencer's clothes into the suitcase, took her documents and driver's license. She left Nathan a note explaining that she was leaving for good and would file for divorce. While Dorothy was putting the baby seat in the car, she realized that it was getting dark and cold outside. She drove to a gas station on the outskirts of the city, filled a full tank, but a few dozens of kilometers away, the car stalled. Realizing they would not make it to the nearest settlement on foot, Dorothy tried to call, but as luck would have it, there was no connection in the area. Then she tried to give signs to passing cars honking and flashing their lights, but no one stopped. 2 hours passed. It was deep into the night and the highway was completely deserted. But then the lights of a car appeared in the distance. Dorothy ran out onto the road in despair and waved her hands. The jeep stopped next to the woman and a man got out. He tried to find out what was wrong, but Dorothy was so cold and tired that she could hardly speak. From her confused story, he only understood that they were going to the same city, that her car had broken down for some reason, and that the baby was freezing in it. "Okay, let's do this. Get your things and the baby and his car seat out of the car and come over to my car. Don't worry, we are in the same direction anyways. I'll take you where you need to be, and tomorrow you can call a tow truck, which will take your car to the station." Dorothy immediately agreed. The prospect of freezing in the car together with the baby really frightened her. Already in the car, the man introduced himself as Gregory. He told her that he was going to his parents, who lived in the same city as her friend. His father had opened a new branch in that city while he was in charge of the old one. The man smiled and added good-naturedly that his parents would probably be the best people on earth if they didn't torture him with their desire to marry him quickly. "Better not rush into it," Dorothy blurted out. Gregory was surprised and cautiously asked, "Excuse me, are you speaking from your own experience?" And Dorothy suddenly felt completely unashamed to tell the stranger about everything, and that her dreams of family happiness had crashed on daily life, and that she had to flee from her husband from her hometown, and that everything began with a great love. Gregory listened to her thoughtfully, and for a while they drove in silence. "Dorothy, can you help me?" he suddenly asked. "You saved us today. I owe you one. Tell me what can I help you with, and I'll see what I can do." And Gregory told Dorothy that once upon a time he had had a girlfriend, but she had left him for a richer businessman from Greece. Then his parents decided to introduce him to a woman who worked at his father's company. She, in their opinion, was pretty and nice, with good moral principles. But Gregory flatly refused, and now they remind him again and again of the need to get married. And so Gregory had a brilliant, in his opinion, plan, in order to make them at least temporarily leave him alone. Gregory suggested Dorothy to go together to his parents and play the role of his bride in front of them. Dorothy at first wanted to give 4, but remembered she owed him a debt of gratitude. So she just smiled and agreed. All right, Gregory, but only tomorrow, because then my friend, whom I am driving to, is leaving for vacation, and I will have no one to leave my baby with, and I don't think your parents would like a bride with a baby from another man. I'm sure my parents wouldn't be upset if the bride had a child, but in any case, thank you for agreeing. Then I invite you to dinner at our place tomorrow evening. When Gregory picked up Dorothy the next evening, she met him in readiness. He looked at her admiringly and assured her that her parents were definitely like her looks and kind disposition. Dorothy laughed and promised to talk less so as not to give herself away. When Gregory introduced Dorothy to his parents, he was speechless at how warmly they greeted her. It turned out that Dorothy was the same woman who worked in his father's company and whom the parents knew well and predicted for their son as a bride. When Dorothy returned home, Sharon questioned her about everything, and learning that Gregory was the son of their common boss, her friend gave free rein to her fantasies and told Dorothy how things would go on if, of course, she would not hide her feelings. Well, I see that you like Gregory and managed to notice, though he has been with us for a short time, that he likes you too. Now stop living in the past or punishing yourself for being wrong about Nathan. You're staying with us, getting a divorce and coming to work for my boss, who may soon become your father-in-law. We'll put Spencer in kindergarten here and everything will be fine. We're all going to bed now. We have an early flight tomorrow, but I will constantly be in touch to be updated on how your relationship is progressing, said Sharon and winked conspiratorially to her friend. And events did develop rapidly, and almost as Sharon predicted. Gregory visited Dorothy every day, and one day finally confessed his feelings to her. And when Dorothy also confessed her feelings in return, Gregory put her and her son in a car and took them to his parents. Dorothy was anxious that they would take the fact that she was not alone and with a child. But when Gregory's mother came up to them, Dorothy was relieved of heart. Well, hello, little one. I'm your new grandmother, she said amiably and held out her arms to Spencer. Dorothy couldn't believe what was happening. She thought this only happened in the movies, but it wasn't a movie. It was her new happy life, in which there was no place for Nathan. By the way, a year later, she somehow saw a report about her ex-husband. But not about the famous musician, but about the drunken hooligan who burst onto the stage and disrupted the concert of a famous band. Apparently this was the popularity he had dreamed of, but he made his own choice. If you enjoyed this story and felt as moved by it as I did, please give this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Thanks for watching, and welcome back, everyone. Today, we have a story that will truly test the boundaries of family loyalty and support. Imagine struggling to conceive a child for years, only to have your heart shattered repeatedly. Now, picture being invited to a dinner intended to cheer you up, only to be blindsided by the very news that brings you pain. This is the story of a couple's heart-wrenching experience, titled, "My Mother Invited Us to Dinner to Support My Wife After Her Miscarriage But Shocked Us with Her Pregnancy Announcement." Let's dive into this emotional roller coaster. I'm 28 male, happily married to my wife, Sarah, 31. We've been together for over 6 years and married for 3 years. My mother, Laura, 45, had me pretty early on. She always wanted a big family and has been with my dad since they were teens. After she had me, she decided to be a stay-at-home mother, and in the space of 10 years, had 7 kids. So, I have loads of siblings. She's recently announced that I'm to become a brother again. Sarah and I have been struggling to conceive for the past 3 years. We really would like to have a kid together and consider looking for other options, but my family talked us out of it, saying we shouldn't trust our child with some unknown woman. I have suggested my mother or my sister carry for us if they're that worried, but both of them declined, saying that they can't have any more children and won't be able to carry. My sister has 5 kids. And just a note, I love Sarah regardless if we have a child or not, and I'm willing to adopt, but she really wants us to have our own. Sarah and I have tried a lot of options, and recently, unfortunately, she had another loss, and this was really upsetting and depressing for both of us. So, I've shown my support, and my mother, who knew about our struggles and recent news, invited us out to dinner at her house yesterday to support and cheer Sarah up. Sarah wanted to attend as she has a very good relationship with my mother. My entire family was there, and the dinner was going well. Sarah congratulated my mother on her pregnancy, and I thought that would be it. Then my sister announced that she was pregnant again, and basically, she and my mother ended up having the baby talk really loudly, where my sister was excited to have another brother, and my mother wanted to have another grandchild. That was too much for Sarah, and she got up and left in tears, and I followed her shortly after. She had to cut off her family because they kept telling her she was not a woman for not being able to have children and was too old, and this got to her too much. After we got home, my mother called me and said Sarah behaves very rudely, and she was expecting an apology as it has ruined the dinner to celebrate life. I got angry and told her that she was completely out of line and inconsiderate for having the baby talk with my sister when she knew Sarah had another loss, and her life celebration dinner made things a lot worse for both Sarah and me. I've also said that we would not have come if she had told us what the dinner was about. In the end, I was called an idiot for not appreciating another life being born. Am I the idiot? Edit. To point out, my mother has told Sarah and me that the dinner was to support her after the loss. In no way or form did she mention this being about the celebration of life, pregnancy announcement, fertility lottery, and babies. We wouldn't have come if that was the case, and we were aware of it. Not the idiot, but let me get this straight. They have shot down options that you and your wife have considered. Firstly, they declined to carry for you because neither could have more children. Then they both spend the dinner allegedly planning to help consult your wife after a loss, loudly yapping about their pregnancies, the ones they claimed they couldn't have. Your mom and sister aren't the massive idiots here, and I say keep them out of any future family planning discussions entirely. I'm still shocked that OP will have a brother who's 29 years his junior. Or am I reading that wrong? Did they intentionally get knocked up to show off their functioning reproductive systems or something? Mommy, why did you and Daddy have so many kids? Well, dear, you and your brother are spite babies. Yeah, tell me you hate my wife without telling me you hate my wife vibes. OP, do you see a pattern here? This did not happen by accident. They manipulated you out of pursuing other options and lied in the worst possible way to manipulate you both to show up for dinner. They knew how much it would hurt. It wasn't a bug. It was a feature. Your mother and sister are annoyingly sabotaging your wife and your happiness. I would say OP's mother and sister very likely feel superior to OP's wife since she cannot carry a pregnancy. However, these women are quite clearly able to get pregnant easily, and for many women being so fertile makes them feel superior as a woman. That's beyond cruel, and I cannot see how they have any respect for life when they behave this way. I'm so glad you supported your wife. It's so heartbreaking to hear that she had to deal with this because she received zero support from her own family. I, teen male, have been in family therapy with my dad, his wife, her daughter, tween, and my half-siblings, kindergarten female, young male child. My dad married his wife when I was 9, and 15 months after my mom died, they met at a support group for people who had lost someone. Dad lost mom, and his wife had lost both her parents, close together, who were the people who helped her raise her daughter since the bio dad wasn't in the picture. Pretty quickly, her daughter started calling my dad, Dad. My dad's wife told me repeatedly in the first year that I could call her mom. She'd like it if I did. She'd love for me to call her daughter my sister instead of saying stepsister. She told me my mom would want me to have another mom, and that she'd want that for her daughter. So how about we drop the steps? We love each other like mom and son because that's what we legally are now. I said no. My dad told me I should give it a chance, that a mama's boy would do much better with another mom. It became pretty clear to them over the years that I was not into that idea. I used the half for my half-siblings once they were born. I never dropped the step, and I never called his wife mom, not even slipping up in a conversation or with other people. This all bothered them. So 17 months ago, they decided we should all go to family therapy and help smooth out all the creases, which to them is the step and half titles. The therapist and I have talked a lot over the months, just the two of us. She's pretty cool and knows what they want isn't going to happen. My dad and his wife started saying they wanted help for us to be the perfect family, and the therapist will always use the language, let's find your family's version of perfect, whatever that may be, which I think makes sense because I know for me, this will never be my perfect family. I also know they will never get the image they have in their heads. 3 weeks ago, we had a session with a fill-in therapist because our usual one is sick. During therapy, my stepsister felt really bad that I said stepsister after someone said I should take a photo with my sister. She also said she hates that I don't love her and she really felt it that day. Then her mom started talking about the perfect family thing. The therapist was not in control and had no idea what he was doing. I started getting mad because my dad and his wife were repeating the whole perfect family thing over and over again. I ended up saying we will never be the perfect family and I'll never see them as my ideal family, that I wouldn't even choose for them to be my family. It became a huge fight and I got grounded for 2 weeks for saying it. My dad told me he was tired of me not trying to make this family work and he told me I was out of line for saying what I did. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm so sorry that you lost your mother first and foremost. Secondly, your dad is a major idiot for trying to force you to feel a certain way about his new spouse and kids. And thirdly, he's a super turd for punishing you for what you expressed in therapy. This is something to discuss with your regular therapist next time because someone needs to straighten that man out. Reach out to your mom's family, particularly your grandparents. Let them know you were restricted from contacting them, but you're now old enough to do so on your own. Call, text, and video chat regularly. Build a relationship. Try to arrange a visit and outing. See if you get on with cousins your age. So sorry for your loss. You're not being unreasonable. Your father lacks empathy. He's decided not to face his grief but rush into another relationship. His anger at you is because you remind him of his failing to support you as a father and to deal with his grief properly. Your stepmother is an insecure idiot. My male teen, mom 39, remarried John, 44. He has 2 daughters, Kayla, a young teen, and Janice, a teen. They remarried about 4 years ago, and John's parents hate us. They don't like the fact that John remarried and hate me especially. But I think of John as my dad and Kayla and Janice as my sisters. So it was Kayla's birthday a few days ago, and her grandparents, who adore her, wanted to have a surprise party for her but keep it between family only. So when I heard of it, I was excited and helped with the cake, etc. On the day, everyone was getting ready, and it was going fine until John's parents asked, "What are my mom and him doing here? They're intruding on the party." They then told me I wasn't technically part of their side of the family and that they were clear enough to say it was a family-only party. I was upset and argued back, and during all the chaos, the surprise aspect of the party kind of fell through. And basically, Kayla came back to see everyone fighting. John's parents told me I ruined the party, and they brought Kayla plus Janice and John back to their place instead to celebrate. I think what they did was unreasonable, but I also think I may be the idiot because family dynamics are complicated. I may have blown everything out of proportion. Holy cow, not the idiot. Also, it's hard to determine if John or John's parents are the bigger idiots. I lean slightly toward John for not standing up for the woman he married and saying this is my family, like it or love it. Everything is wrong here except you, my dude. Stand your ground for you and your mom. So they were making a surprise party at your parents' place and expected you and your mother to leave during that time? That's just so much BS, especially since they didn't seem to have any problem with you helping them set everything up. Screw them. They are the idiots. They said family only, and you and your mother are now family whether they like it or not. What were you two expected to do, leave your home for a few hours and not attend a party happening there? That's unacceptable on their part, and I can't believe your stepfather went along with it. I mean, he is a 44-year-old man and left with them. That is the most concerning part about this to me. You're a young teen. This is not a situation you should have been put in to begin with. I'm finding it hard to understand why more people are not identifying John as the giant idiot. I mean, sure, the grandparents are awful, that's a given. But John saw this go down and then left his wife and stepchild to party with his real family? Really? That's an actual idiot move. I, 38 male, have 2 daughters, Nora and Lily, teens, from my former marriage. I got married to my current wife, who has a daughter, Jenna, a teen. Jenna has a disability. She's in a wheelchair. Before I met her mom, her life was pretty much inside the house. She was homeschooled up until I got her in a private school, but she still struggles with socializing due to growing up so isolated. My wife didn't want to, but I pushed for Jenna to get therapy, which I hoped would help her with her relationship with Nora and Lily. But the kids took their time to get to know her. So, yes, they did exclude her from activities. But I had several sit-downs with them in hopes of getting them to understand that Jenna is a normal girl and has so much in common with them, so they shouldn't feel like she's difficult just because of her disability. I thought things were getting better. But days ago, and while we were at a beach resort for 4 days, Jenna stayed with us while the girls kept going out. On our second day, I saw the girls getting ready to get ice cream. I asked Jenna if she wanted to join them, and she said yes. So, I asked them to take her with them, and they were unsure at first, but then took her. An hour later, my wife came to me saying that Jenna called her, saying the girls left her near one of the benches and told her to wait 5 minutes till they got ice cream, but didn't come back. So, we went there immediately and found Jenna sitting alone while the girls were eating ice cream and hanging out at a different location. I got so mad at them, especially after they admitted to leaving her there. I told them vacation was over for them and had them pack their stuff and take them home. Both were crying and pleading in the car while my wife and Jenna waited at the resort. I dropped the girls off and had my mom stay with them. Then I returned and resumed the vacation. Both girls and their mom were all over me about this, and their mom went on a rant about me favoring my stepdaughter over my biological ones and being a doormat for my wife. The girls were upset, but I explained why I did what I did. Their mom defended them, saying that I shouldn't force them to care for their stepsister and expect them to be her maids and stop their life for her. It got to my former in-laws, who blamed me for ruining the much-awaited vacation for the girls and acting irrationally. I questioned whether I messed up and went too far with my reaction. All I wanted was for them to be upfront and honest and not abandon her the way they did. Everyone's the idiot here. Are you sure this is because Jenna has a disability? Or is it because she's the stepsister? You can read so many stories about people being forced to be friends with the step-siblings and how badly that went. Yes, leaving her there alone was bad. And yes, you should have punished them for it. But it would help if you weren't also forcing them to be friends. Let them make a relationship at their own pace. Also, she's not just a stepsister, but also a much younger stepsister. No teen wants to hang out with a kid and play babysitter. I think OP needs to be clear that any punishment, and I believe there should be one, isn't because they don't like their stepsister. It's because they endangered her well-being. Yeah, I'm not condoning their actions, far from it. But I have to wonder, when you did these sit-downs, were you only thinking about Jenna's feelings? Or did you consider your daughter's feelings too? Because there are two sides to every story. I wonder how they feel about this. Given that they've continually tried to exclude Jenna, avoid bonding with her, and he keeps insisting they do, I would put good money on him only looking at this from her perspective, to be honest. Most step-parents realize at some point that you can't create a bond if all kids aren't ready or willing. OP's also pushing them to be his wife's stepchildren. And his wife has treated those kids a fraction as poorly as her own child by keeping her housebound, isolated, and socially undeveloped. No wonder they're acting up. Sure, the first impulse here is to be shocked that the kids would do a mean thing to another kid for another hour. But stop and think about the underlying conditions for a second, and you get the sense that there's something really wrong with the adults here. Exactly this. And your point about the OP's wife keeping her child isolated, housebound, and socially undeveloped is spot on. This woman was a bad parent to her child. Maybe it's good that OP's children are not around OP's new wife. And while he might be a superhero to his stepchild, he's becoming the father who'll be shocked his adult kids had no contact. I, 45, female, have 2 kids. Twins, male and female. And my husband, 47, has 2 daughters, 18 and teen. My husband is very strict with his daughters. Less with his oldest, obviously. And I think he sees my kids as his, too. He's strict with them. And my kids don't mind much since he's their only father figure. And he has a good relationship with them. He's very protective over all the kids. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. And my husband spent most of the day with his daughter at his parents' house. So I left my kids home and told them I'd be back later. My doctor took longer than expected. And by the time I was on my way back, when my husband had called me, I didn't answer since I was driving. And when I got back, he was really mad and told me that I was an irresponsible parent for leaving the kids home alone. He said they were still young and couldn't care for themselves. I said they're tweens, not 6 and 5. He was even angrier that I talked back to him and told me I should have gotten a neighbor to watch the kids. I said again that the kids were old enough to be alone and they were perfectly capable of taking care of themselves for a few hours. My husband said he had had enough and told me that from now on, I have to stay home if he's not home before he went upstairs. It took me a while to cool down. I was really mad. But later, I wondered if he was right since my kids could have still gotten into trouble. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot for leaving your kids alone if you as their parent felt they were mature enough to handle it. They're not babies anymore. But holy smokes, the rest of your story throws red flags regarding your husband. Angry at you for talking back? Telling you when you are and are not allowed to leave the house? Huh? Is this typical in your relationship? Also, if he knew she was going to the doctor, why didn't he stay home with the children or take them with him? It almost seems like he intentionally wasn't around so OP would have to stay home with her kids rather than see her doctor. The husband extends his strict rules for the kids to his wife. I only see this getting worse if OP doesn't do something to nip this in the bud quick. If she can't, she'll have some hard decisions. OP is not your parent and has no right to order you to do anything. He has no right to get angry at talking back. You're a grown adult having a conversation about a disagreement, not a petulant toddler. How condescending. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey. If this story touched you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful and thought-provoking stories. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And if you have a story of your own that you'd like to share, drop it in the comments or send it to us. We'd love to feature it in a future video. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the channel, dear listeners. Tonight, we dive into a tale that touches on family dynamics, cultural clashes, and the explosive drama that ensued when wedding plans went awry. The story is titled, My Fiancé Demanded My Sister Stop Using Skin Brightening Cream for Our Wedding, and the Family Drama Exploded. This is a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat, as we unravel the events that turned a joyful occasion into a battleground of emotions and beliefs. So, sit back, relax, and let's begin. My fiancé doesn't like skin brightening cream. She never uses it, but she also doesn't usually say anything about other people using it either. So I was surprised when she told me she didn't want my sister to use it for our wedding and asked me to convey the message. My sister always uses skin brightening cream for any big event, especially if she's photographed, so I know she's planning on doing so for our wedding. My fiancé said she hates skin brightening cream and doesn't want the use of it immortalized in our wedding photos. She said my sister should understand because this is a small family event and the photos will only be seen by our close family and us. She said it's not unusual for brides to have requests about the wedding party's look. She would know better than me, so I agreed. Asking my sister didn't go over well. My sister was furious and said I had no say over her skincare routine. She said she'd use whatever product she wanted and if my fiancé had a problem with that, she could uninvite her. My fiancé said fine, but then my sister won't be a part of the wedding party or in the photos. My mom and sister are furious about this decision and don't want to work with me at all, telling me to get my wife under control because she's being ridiculous. I would think my sister would want to make us happy on our special day and be willing to compromise, but did I ask for too much? Clarification: the cream changes your skin so that you look fair, more like a white person than a brown one. It isn't makeup. It fades over time, so you need to keep applying it and it can make you sick. My fiancé hates it because she's seen it give friends and relatives skin conditions and other illnesses and because women who use it say women who don't are ugly. My fiancé thinks we should be proud of our brown skin because our race has accomplished so many things. That's why she didn't want its obvious use in our photos. My fiancé wants my sister to not use it for a month. You are the idiot. Your fiancé sounds incredibly unreasonable and controlling here. Is this the only thing she's been like this over? Assuming your sister isn't painting her face like a straight-up clown. It's none of your fiancé's business what she puts on her skin. The amount of insecurity it takes to avoid being outshone in photos is incredible. You need to spend some time reflecting on whether you want to deal with this long term. Right? Like I assume skin brightening works similarly to a spray tan. I do a spray tan all the time before big events, especially when I'm going to be photographed. It would be weird and unreasonable if someone didn't want me to for what appears to be no logical reason. You're the idiot, OP. Not only for agreeing with your fiancé's unreasonable request, but also because of your last sentence. I would think my sister would want to make us happy on our special day. Full stop. That's manipulative. Disagree. I think OP needs to make it really clear that when you're saying a skin brightening cream, you mean a fairness cream. I think that really changes the concept because it involves colorism. I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you South Asian? I am, and I know the craze around fairness creams. Like Fair and Lovely, and the culture surrounding lightening your skin is poignant and gross. I see why it makes your wife uncomfortable to have people bleach their skin around her. Generally, but especially if she's a darker skin tone herself. With the context, I think not the idiot. Sister's not saying she thinks brown people are ugly by using this cream. If anything, she's just saying she doesn't like how she looks and wants to change herself. If a natural brunette lady dyes her hair because she doesn't like herself brunette, that's not some huge message that she thinks all brunettes are ugly. I'm going to treat this as any other moral choice, e.g. veganism. It's one thing to choose a life for yourself and another to force it on others. OP, you are the idiot. Update: after talking to my fiancé, we've decided to just uninvite my sister. Her beliefs are our own and not really any of our business. But why would we want someone who thinks women who look like my fiancé are ugly to be at our wedding? It just doesn't make sense. I always saw it as a personal choice, but it's more than that. By using that cream, my sister's saying to the world that she thinks brown women are ugly. And while that's sad for her because she is one, it isn't my fiancé's problem to deal with. So we just won't have her there. No one should be told on their wedding day that they're ugly. I was with my ex for about 7 years, never married, and we lived together for the last 4. We broke up 3 years ago. She has a 21-year-old son, Shane, who's now going to college in a town I've since moved to that his parents don't live in, about a 6 hours drive. We've moderately kept in touch since the breakup, mostly just when he reaches out to me. I would have preferred a clean break from both him and his mom, but I have a hard time totally shutting people out. I've not seen Shane in person since he was 18. Anyway, I got married last year and welcomed my first child a few months ago. This will be my first Christmas with my wife and child. Shane was going to visit where his mom lives now for Christmas, but due to a pending storm, it's uncertain if he will be able to travel there. He called me last night and asked if he could spend Christmas with me. I definitely got caught off guard and told him while it was good to hear from him, it'll be my first Christmas as a whole family and I would prefer to keep it to just us and maybe her parents who will stop by later. Shane was very upset and told me I was replacing him. I tried to reason with him that this happens when adults move on. I said we could still keep in touch, but I wanted Christmas just with my family since it's our first one. He hung up and then later sent me a long text saying some not super nice things. My wife is glad I said no, but at the same time says she empathizes with how he feels and I should apologize but not necessarily have him over. But she would support me if that's what I want. Am I the idiot for not wanting him to come over for Christmas? Edit. Shane's father is active in his life. He's just out of town. I had only met Shane a few times until he moved in during his high school years. He was very active in sports and extracurriculars, so he wasn't actually home that much for us to spend time together. Their moving in was supposed to be temporary after his mom got laid off and it dragged into their staying longer. His mother was very adamant that Shane had a father and she didn't want me to attempt to parent her kid. While he lived at my house, he was basically an adult roommate. We got along well, but it was never a father-son type relationship. Yikes, dude. You are the idiot. He was your stepkid for basically 7 years. He's stranded for Christmas. Would it seriously hurt you if he came for Christmas? I'm grossed out by this, not gonna lie. If virtually anyone with whom I have a stable relationship asked if they could come to my house for Christmas, I would say yes because it's Christmas. So you're obligated to keep in touch with someone for the rest of your life? Just because you were around for their formative years? I think it's highly inappropriate to keep in touch with the children of your exes, especially if you don't have an emotional attachment to them. You can't keep staying in their lives just to spare their feelings. Opie has his own feelings and the feelings of his own family. The young man mentioned in the story has a father, so it's not even like Opie was his only father figure. Disagree. Opie's an idiot. You either make a clean break or you let him be part of the family. You basically choose neither and this is why you have this issue. You should have told him you were no longer a part of the family as soon as you signed those divorce papers. It still would have hurt a lot, but that's the proper way of doing things. Not just because it's inconvenient for you now. The only good thing is he's an adult now and this will give you the clean break you wanted. Even if it was the absolute worst way to do it. I, 24, female, live with my girlfriend, 25, and a roommate, 23, female. We share a 2-bedroom apartment and have lived together for 2 years now. Up until now, we've gotten along pretty well. My roommate has an elderly cat. The cat is honestly kind of mean. She doesn't like my girlfriend or me and will run away if we try to pet her or pick her up. So we just avoid each other. My roommate asked if we had cats before moving in because she said her cat doesn't like other cats. We didn't have any pets at the time, so it worked out. However, we did tell her that we might want one someday, to which she said we'd have to revisit the issue if it came up. Well, my girlfriend and I have gotten to a place where we really want our own pet. We saw a kitten at the shelter and fell in love with him. We got the okay from the landlord and brought him home last week. His name is Banana Pudding. Our roommate is furious with us. She told us that we were aware that her cat doesn't like other cats. I told her honestly that it was unfair of us to tiptoe around her cat and that we were allowed to have our own pets as long as the landlord was okay with it, which he is. She couldn't expect us to never get a pet or to cater to her cat's needs 24/7. The conversation ended there. Unfortunately, things have escalated because her cat hisses and swats at Banana Pudding just for existing. She's honestly pretty aggressive, which is a big issue in my opinion. Our kitten is very friendly and sweet and causes no problems. We asked our roommate to keep her cat in her bedroom since she's elderly and aggressive. She refused and hasn't been speaking to us. She says we're huge idiots and even got some mutual friends to take her side. If her cat is so aggressive and uncomfortable, it's her responsibility to live alone. It's gotten so bad that my girlfriend is crying and considering taking the kitten back to the shelter. Here I am to get an outside perspective because I don't know what to think now. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. You can't just show up with a kitten and be all, your cat has to stay in your room now. What kind of narcissism is that? The older cat was there first and your roommate warned you that he didn't like other cats. Instead of having any conversation, you just brought home a kitten and now expect an elderly cat to be confined to one room for the rest of his life? You are most indeed the idiots here. That cat deserves to live out his life in peace. And if you want to keep your kitten, you better go find somewhere else to live. Your roommate has every right to be angry and you're out of line. Also, you're an idiot for not properly introducing the kitten to another cat and vice versa, which could be a large part of the problem. And the spontaneous adoption, they sound so immature. The older cat is not mean just because it doesn't like to be picked up or petted by you. It's a pet with its own preferences. Which is completely normal. You're not a good pet owner. His name is Banana Pudding. It sounds like you wanted a cuddly toy because it's cute. Both cats are living beings with emotions and territory. This place is their home, which you've turned into a place of stress and danger for both of them. Oh, and when Banana Pudding loses an eye, you have no one to blame but yourself since you put that poor kitten in that situation. Same with the elderly cat. It deserves to roam too. Update. My roommate and I have talked. I apologized to her for being selfish and ignorant and for putting her cat in an uncomfortable situation. She forgave me and said she'd be happy to help do a proper introduction between the kitties. She said that if we do things slowly and carefully, her cat might be able to accept banana pudding. For now, our kitten will be staying in our room for the introduction process. She also taught me a little about cat body language, and guys, her cat came and sat in my lap. She even purred. My roommate is a very kind and forgiving person, and I'm very thankful that she chose to forgive me after I was such a huge idiot to her. I think things are going to work out. Thanks everyone for your advice and criticism. My boyfriend, 33, and I, 29, female, have been living together for the last year and a half, together for 2.5. A few months ago, my boyfriend had his blood pressure measured and it came back ever so slightly high. He's a very healthy weight for his height, tall and thin, but muscly from work as a diesel mechanic. But high blood pressure is no joke, so he decided to try to clean up his diet a little. I do 90% of the cooking at home. By choice, he does dishes and vacuums, so this isn't an issue. And I genuinely cook on the healthier side. I'm only 5 feet 3 inches and slim and athletic, so I focus a lot on healthy proteins. So we eat a lot of proteins and veggies, and I like to play around with different sauces and things to make it interesting. I feel like the meals I make set a strong foundation for an overall healthy lifestyle. My boyfriend loves my cooking and always brags to his friends about what we eat. Suddenly, my boyfriend decided he doesn't want to eat salt in the things we eat at home, at all. I can't work with that. We've never used salt excessively in our diet, so asking me to cut a healthy amount from our meals just seems ridiculous. I do too much cardio and strength training and don't want to have a sodium deficiency, because my boyfriend suddenly decided we can't have salt in breakfast or dinner, meals we eat together. I brought that up to him and he suggested salting my food separately, which, fine, but we all know it doesn't taste the same. Cooking our food in separate pots, or for me to supplement in other ways, like Gatorade. This is where the issue comes in. I would be perfectly happy to make these accommodations if I felt like it would actually help, but he's constantly snacking on high-sodium snacks, like chips and pretzels and frozen egg rolls, and I just feel like it's unfair to ask me to change how I salt our food, before working on cutting out some of his unhealthy eating choices. He's gotten to the point where he feels disrespected if I cook for both of us and use salt, and he'll refuse to eat or do the dishes if I tell him I've salted the food. I think he's being a baby and refusing to stop salting our food. We're at an impasse. So, am I the idiot? I feel like the salt content in our food is not going to be the change he needs to reduce his sodium content, because he's snacking around 6 to 8 times a day. Not the idiot. Pretzels? Come on, man. It's a little salt block. A delicious salt block, but still. The high sodium snacks are the issue, not your cooking. My dad developed high cholesterol when I was a kid and was told to cut out red meat. So, the whole family cut out what little red meat we were eating. Lo and behold, we discover that dad's just eating red meat for lunch at work instead. So, that was the ends of the whole family making the change, because why should we, when he won't help himself? Pretty sure an actual salt lick has less sodium than frozen egg rolls. He just needs to cut the junk food first. A woman in my family went through this. She changed the meals for the whole household and started packing the guy lunches that fit with the dietary recommendations. Went to a lot of effort and expense, getting all their food in line with the doctor's orders. No one was happy about it, but it was necessary for this guy's health. One day she went out to his car to get something and noticed a bad odor. So, she opened the trunk and discovered he'd been dumping his lunch bags in there every day. When confronted, he confessed he's been going out and eating lunch and would have a big satisfying meal, so he didn't have to eat much of the healthy food at dinner either. Basically, it sounds like your boyfriend is saying that he wants to put all the work for this on you instead of him. Make him cook his own dinners. He's eating salty snacks and complaining about your cooking. He can take care of himself. When he cuts out the healthy snacks, you'll resume cooking with compromise. I, 23 female, went shopping a few days ago and my fiancé wasn't supposed to be there, but he kept insisting we had things to talk about, so we showed up. When I was going to pay for my items, he gave me his card and told me that he would take care of it from now on and I shouldn't spend my dad's money anymore. Things are rocky between my fiancé and dad, which is why I think he said it, but the entire thing rubbed me the wrong way. I pushed his hand away and told him I didn't need him to pay for my things, but he ignored me and paid anyway. I was mad, so I asked him what he was doing and told him to stop being an idiot. He told me I was welcome and to stop making a scene. I kept bringing it up and telling him he was being an idiot, so now he's annoyed at me and saying things like I need to get used to not living under my dad's thumb anymore. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Hate to break it to you, but your fiancé thinks of you as a possession, not a person. He wants to ensure that you know you belong to him, not your father. If you don't like that feeling, try paying for your own things occasionally. I encourage you to seek financial independence. Are you sure you want to be engaged to a guy who needs to be right and in charge, to the point that his power plays steamroll right over you? I find it disturbing that he said he would take care of it from now on. Does he expect you to be totally financially dependent on him and unable to take care of yourself so you can never leave? Is he trying to isolate you from your family? Red flags. Yeah, your fiancé sounds overbearing and controlling. Why is he insisting on joining you when you said you wanted to shop alone? And heads up, financial control and abuse are a real thing. Make sure you are financially secure in your own relationship, so you aren't relying on him or your dad. Good luck. And that, dear listeners, is how a simple wedding request led to an unforgettable family confrontation. If you are intrigued by this tale and want to hear more stories of family conflicts and resolutions, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a family drama that took you by surprise? Until next time, remember, the bonds of family are strong, but communication and understanding are key.